if they have twins, you have to name them Ham and Cheese.
I've always said Ham and Cheese would be a great name for a newborn duo.
How many likes on the video to get a Ham and Cheese?
40,000.
We need a Ham and Cheese.
Welcome back to Catching Up with Katie. I am so sorry that we haven't really been doing consistent episodes lately due to the fact that we've been traveling a lot. We've been going to horse shows. We have been working so hard at home to prepare for those horse shows. And so that means just like the issue we're running into is in time, okay? We need more than 24 hours in a day. We need more than, however many days of daylight. We need like 3 more hours of daylight in each day. So that's what we've been doing, but we're going to try to be a little bit more consistent about catching all up, having different guests. So today, my husband, Jonathan, is joining us. We're going to catch up with you here in a moment, but we are going to let's address the room. You got a new desk.
Room?
New desk.
You've got a new desk, but not for long.
No, hopefully
I came up with an idea.
Wait till you hear this.
I came up with an idea. Okay, so we basically don't live at our house anymore. We do everything in the shop all day long. We sleep at our house. And so I brought my old kitchen table to the shop. So we've been kitchen tableless for probably 6 months now. And it's
we do have one though. It's just not put together.
So we have one.
That's that table that's down there is the old one from your house?
Yeah.
Looks way bigger down there than it did in your house.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a big table. It was from an estate sale. It's huge.
Yeah.
But I had gone to Sarah Sales, which is like a warehouse sale, I don't know, last August, I think. And I bought this round table. That is beautiful. And, why does it need to go in my house?
Doesn't.
Right.
Who am I hosting in my house? Nobody.
I love more that you bought it and then purposed it.
So I bought it for the house and then it just never got put up.
Gotcha.
So now we've repurposed it. And I think, because we have some rain days coming up.
All right, boys, bring it in.
Meaning, meaning
now
you have some rain days coming up.
We can get it put together.
And so we'll put it in here. And instead of having y'all over there, spaced out these big clunky chairs, which, by the way, these chairs were for an ad and then they just never left. They're so comfy that's why they haven't left. And so we just sit in them. But for filming purposes, they are not the small, dainty, aesthetic chairs that are needed. And so we are kind of going to swap
round table,
vibes.
more conversationally. I love round tables.
And with that being said, Nate, take it away. What are we going to be doing?
We are also going to be dual purposing this room.
Yes.
For some D&D, Dungeons and Dragons chat.
Yes. So if you are a nerd, get ready.
Which is a majority of you.
For real though, the YouTube audience, they're nerds.
It was a sleeper.
Yeah.
Did not expect the overflow of or the influx of people that were supportive of that journey. So,
well, during Foal Watch,
encouraged her to play. Thank you. It encouraged her to play. You guys made her more confident.
Here's the thing. I've always been a mystical, imaginative person.
Yeah.
But it's just the embarrassing factor of I've been beat down by society my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone has.
And so it just took a minute to get the confidence to put on the voice.
Yeah.
Put on the character, And it was so wild because during Foal Watch, it gets boring. What are we going to do, right? It gets dark at 4:30 and then we're waiting on these foals to be born and we're all just what are we going to do? We're staying up watching for this baby. So we started playing Dungeons and Dragons and it's like a role-playing-esque game. And you roll dice and it's like a game of chance kind of, but there's a storytelling. It's really cool. And a lot of you play it. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Would you play it?
Maybe. I'm open to it.
You would?
I haven't played it, but
I feel like he'd be
once
wild.
we get the round
Nobody
table,
did.
Yeah, none of us had played
I
it.
feel like we should do a one-off one day just to let him dip his toes in.
So many people,
I
feel
like
like it's
I know nothing about it. So.
Once you get that free will, I think
I feel like
the free will is what gets people.
I feel like this would be right. You wake up in camp, the fire's going out. You're on a hunting trip.
No, we got to be medieval.
But you could. Okay, you're
a dwarf on a hunting trip.
you're on a
goblin.
You're on a hunting trip, and you hear this animal that you don't recognize the sound. It's the middle of the night. What do you do? Like, what do you do?
You can just do whatever you want. That's the fun of the game.
That's
Yeah.
how
You wake up in your tent to find all of your party has completely vanished, but their tents are still there. The fire's still
tells
going.
you how much I know about it.
So like at that point,
But that's all you know about it. What would
I
you
grab
do?
my
Yeah.
flashlight and I try to go after the animal to figure out what it is. You could say, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to sneak 30 feet away and wait to see what happens.
Roll for
It's
stealth.
also a better setup though. It's like, everybody's gone, but you do notice, you do hear some sounds coming from one tent in particular. What do? You either leave, you either go investigate. Then you would roll your dice to see if what your decision was successful or
what
not.
happens.
So
As a matter of fact, I'm thinking there used to be this old Survivor game, like I feel like my grandparents had it, of like survival situations where like bears and like traps and whatnot. Anyway,
I don't know.
I feel like
we'll
it's
cut
ringing
that.
a bell.
Well, once we get the round table,
So
let's give
for
it a shot.
instance, if you were like, I want to go sneak up and open the tent and peer in, but I don't want to be detected, they'd be like, okay, roll for stealth. And then if you roll a 6 with your D20, you're like, ooh, you tripped into the tent and alerted everyone around you. Or if you roll a 19,
maybe you get away with it.
maybe it's like, oh yeah,
Gotcha.
you look
Okay.
in, you successfully do what you want to do, and you see that it's an intruder. What do you do? Like, it's really cool.
Really just need to have like Brennan's explanation of it just like saved in my phone because it's so good and it takes 30 seconds and like just the way he words it is like, oh, that's
You
just,
just hit him with one of these.
yeah,
We're bringing it back.
it's back.
We're bringing it back. We did have a game.
New
that kind of-
storyline though.
That's the thing. We are going to privately end our Ice Spire Peak campaign. So sorry. Honestly, we didn't even live stream every single episode of that one.
No,
But here's what we're going to do. We're going to hire a dungeon master
yes,
so that we all three can play together. And I think it's going to be fun. And then we can
That'd be fun.
if we ever do one-offs or whatever, like one of them could DM or something.
it
But
would be more fun.
So if
I
you're
would
in-
argue that this will be more fun than
Having-
anybody like playing with friends is fun. I've had a blast, but I think like playing together.
So
Yeah.
if you're a DM in the Nashville area,
honestly, and here's the thing. So right now, our D&D group is like 2 dudes and me. I would love if it was a girl.
Yeah, need to balance that out. And because never mind.
but if you are a DM
She
in the
will do
Nashville
what I
area,
want her to do.
yeah,
hop into the comments.
yeah. Hop in the comments if
We
you're
are actually looking for somebody.
if you're an interested DM.
But anyway,
But speaking of outside people commenting, people have commented questions for you and Jonathan,
they have.
wanting to know a little bit of the more private life that you two have. Maybe what he knows, what he doesn't know, maybe what you know, what you don't know about each other.
I did put a little thing up on Facebook. That's generally where I put things, by the way. For those that don't know, Facebook gets everything. Like TikTok is like all videos. Snapchat is like stories. Facebook gets like
The town post board.
photos, like alerts and things like that. Anyway, so I posted something on Facebook and I was like, what do y'all want to know? And I checked on it this morning and made like a little list, but I think they have it pulled up and they're going to maybe surprise us with some questions. So we'll see how this goes. I'm just going to start it off by asking you, how did your hunting trip go? Because this past week, he left me for 7 full days and went to Canada.
So it was a lot of fun, and it would fix our issue of daylight because it was only about 4.5 hours of darkness each night.
I
What
just
was that
wouldn't
like to
sleep.
experience? Because I've always wanted to you see it like all the time. It's like what it's like to be like daylight all the time.
We had a really weird schedule. We would hunt till about 1 in the morning or midnight or so as it started
wild.
getting dark. And then we'd eat dinner at like 2 a.m. and then hang out for a minute, go to sleep at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. As it was getting daylight, go to sleep, and then get up for breakfast at like noon. And then we'd hang out for a minute and start hunting at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And we'd hunt till about midnight again
That's
every day.
sick.
And it was really cool. I did not come home with a bear, but it wasn't for lack of opportunity. I could have taken a couple bears, but I was really hell bent on shooting one with my bow, and that was
he saw a
difficult.
mama with 3 cubs, and they all stood up and looked at him from
That's
like
cool.
100 feet away.
Yeah.
It was so cool. Saw a lot of color phase bears in that area. I
Yeah.
was in northern Alberta and staying in wall tents with some really, really
Was
good
it super
guys.
cold at night?
It got cold. I like it. It would be like 76 degrees during the day sometimes, and it would get down in like the mid 30s at
Oh,
night.
really?
It was big swings. So we were setting a big we had a stove in our tent, and we'd like crank it up.
Y'all would just huddle for warmth.
Kind of.
Snuggle.
I mean, by like the time we got up, it was actually cold. And then it would kind of warm up into late afternoon. Like it peaked, like the temperature peaked at like 7 p.m.
Yeah,
It was
so
weird.
he was hunting with 2 of our friends, Levi, who does our taxidermy, and he's a fantastic dude. And then Tristan, who y'all might know as Yappy.
Yeah, he's Yappy Twan on YouTube. and
So
whatnot.
I didn't even know he was like a big deal when we met him.
Well, a lot of people know who he is.
I didn't know he was a big deal for a long time. And then like we were out somewhere and he got stopped and had
Oh,
someone take
yeah,
a picture with him. And I was like,
Everywhere we go, somebody
Oh.
stops him and says,
Yeah.
hey, wants a picture or something.
so I hope they make it, even though y'all didn't, have a bear. I hope
They're a lot of fun. I mean,
hope he makes a video out of it.
I saw 23 bears.
Oh, wow.
He'll put up a YouTube video the whole week. It's a lot of fun.
That's really cool.
Well,
But my sleep schedule is way off. I got home
that
late
brings
last night.
me
I can
to,
imagine.
I know, I'm a sweet wife who had a steak dinner waiting on you. Not that I cooked. I ordered
It was nice.
I didn't cook it. I ordered it. Okay, so that brings me to, I have some questions for you. And not that I frequently look at the Reddit pages. I don't, but I have some people that will tell me things every now and then. I honestly tell them, like, don't tell me what's on there. But sometimes when it's funny, they tell me. And one of the funny things is they're like, oh yeah, everyone on Reddit is convinced that you just have Jonathan like a workhorse, just working every day. He doesn't, like, they're like, she gets all the Katie, like, he doesn't even get a dog he wants. He doesn't get to do anything. I just don't tell y'all when he's gone so you don't come skin me. like I just wait until after he comes home to tell you, like, oh yeah, Jonathan's on a week-long hunting trip, because I don't want someone to come like scalp me in my sleep.
Jonathan's gone. Get her.
Literally. So yeah, you don't feel bad for him. He just went on a bear hunt for a week. Okay.
But he'll make up
Anyway.
for
You want me
that.
to set the record straight on some of
Well,
that?
well,
On
my,
some of that?
He'll make up for
my
that.
first questions from the comments was, does Jonathan feel neglected and used?
No.
No,
not
it
at
is
all.
not.
No, not at all.
Who's
With 4 laughing faces.
Oh.
With 4 laughing faces.
okay? Okay.
Yeah.
And
Do you?
use was in quotations.
We have some really good guys, and we have one in particular. His name is Wesley. That kind of is the tip of the spear on the majority of the construction that we do. And a lot of people think that I build all the structures, which is not the case. I have a big hand.
Some of
in it.
them.
Yeah, some of them. But like, I don't build all the barns, So he's got several guys that we work together with our guys. And yes, I am busy, like crazy busy, but I am not Katie's workhorse. I have plenty of free time. I am very blessed with what I get to go and do.
This feels like one of those situations where it's like someone has the phone and you're like, I promise I'm happy here. And behind
Pan
the
out,
camera,
yeah.
I'm like, say it.
No, that's not the case at all. I mean, we need the kind of days that we're in Alberta with 4 hours of darkness. We could really get a lot more done because we can never get enough done. But
For real.
we do have a lot of fun. And I'm not just a servant to your needs.
I mean,
Sup, baby? Take me out to dinner. Hey, yo.
anyway. So
Another one that is interesting that I saw that I don't think we've ever brought up, unless you had more that you wanted to address. I don't know if we've ever really addressed this. Maybe with you, but do either of you have like any extreme phobias?
I really don't mess with clowns.
Maybe we have talked about that with you, but I remember like there
I
was,
really don't.
yeah, I know that there's some subjects that we have to steer clear from.
I don't.
I can't really think of anything.
And ghost stuff.
So like it.
You know how I've told you, yeah, no.
That's a
But
big
you know
out.
how like I start crying during ghost stories. Like
Yeah.
paranormal stuff.
Which is so like it's like I don't know if that's like sad. Like I don't know how to feel for that because I think that's so funny, but like in like not a making fun of you way, but just like I think that's one of my favorite qualities of you.
Same kind of deal. So like in the time that the clowns were out and about.
Oh, dude, I remember
my gosh,
that, dude. I
clown
forgot
saga.
about, dude. That had you like in the house, like
Rebecca has a video of me sobbing talking about it
Really?
somewhere. I mean, it was like what 2015.
You want to talk about a
2014,
poor
2015. Like there's a video of me like sobbing talking about the clowns, and she's like my mom and dad would make fun of it. They would
I never
exacerbate it, like because they would be like, "Hey, Katie, did you see the clown?" Like they were absolutely terrorizing me.
One spotted in Nolansville.
Seriously. And then I used to run at night at school like a dumb person in Green Hills.
I cannot believe you used to do that.
I used to run until like 2 a.m.
Yeah, I know.
Oh my gosh.
I know. Just me and my 5'2" little roommate just out there
I mean, that's a horror movie waiting to
having a
be
great
written.
time. And I'm like, so the clowns scared me, but not enough to keep me indoors at night. Like, what the
Yeah,
heck?
that's crazy.
No one said I was smart.
We used to drive around and try to like catch one.
I never saw one.
We'd be like, oh, there's one on
In
canvas.
the woods?
And we would
Like-
like load up and get in the car. Like,
Was there ever actual crimes?
You know, I
Or
don't
was
know.
it just that
know.
people were spotting them like out in the woods with knives?
I'm sure there was a few cases, but I think generally that was one of the more safer like like I don't think anybody really got too messed up over it now. That may not be true.
I was about to say, I don't
I'm not
know if it was
speaking
just
intelligently.
like hoaxes, like people posing out in the woods and you know what I'm saying?
2016.
it says
It was
yes.
definitely a thing.
During
for a
the
while.
Yeah, I guess it
infamous
was.
2016 clown craze, there were multiple well-documented instances of clown-related crimes and pranks.
Like were there
Mostly
like stabbings?
at least 12 arrests for threats, stalking, and harassment.
Brandished weapons.
So they were just creepily walking
which I
around
guess
with
is
a
technically
knife.
crime, but I don't know if anybody was dying.
I see.
But anyway,
Okay, this is
clown purge.
I guess like a more funny question. So a lot of people when they like this kidding season, we had a couple of does do like Honey Honey lost hers, but it was Bee and Blossom who were going to have their babies. And they're like, if they have twins, you have to name them Ham and Cheese, because the last time that we got on here and talked, that was what you said. You were like, what was it? Did we do a bet or something? I can't remember. There was some reason that I had to
right.
name something Ham and Cheese.
Yeah.
There was
Did we talk about that in the last podcast? It's been a couple
something
years
like that.
since I've done one.
There
with
was
you.
a statute of limitations though. Like we've passed it. It's like we're past that.
I've always said Ham and Cheese would be a great name for a newborn duo, and still what we've had 50, 60 animals born since then. No Ham and Cheese. No ham and cheese.
You're taking the opposite take. Okay, got
Doubling
it.
down.
Because before he's like, no, baby, I don't care, and now
We need a ham and cheese.
Ham and cheese.
I say it every time someone's born.
we
and
rehearsed this
cheese.
differently, and we were supposed to be off the ham and cheese train. So Bella is having at least twins, and that was always my like scapegoat. I was like, oh, it has to be twins. It can't be triplets. It can't be a singleton.
I don't really care, but at some point,
How
In the
many
future.
likes on the video to get a ham and cheese?
And you would, I mean, and he's like, the average. So
I really don't on YouTube. I don't think I've paid attention that much
good.
to the
All right,
likes.
then let's-
How many likes on this video for ham and cheese?
40,000
likes or views.
likes.
Likes. All right.
All right.
40,000.
So that's like for Bella,
Yeah.
Yeah.
when's she do?
September.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
we
yeah.
can definitely do it by then. Let's get a ham and cheese.
No, it's not
Ham
like
and
by
cheese.
then. Like this
Ham
video,
and
like
cheese.
we say like in the first week.
No.
2 weeks.
If it gets 40,000 likes by noon or by 1 o'clock after an hour it's posted.
Okay, then we'll just do it until she has the babies.
Okay.
All right.
okay.
All right. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. 40,000 is a lot.
It is a lot.
I'm not worried about it.
It's a lot.
We can do it.
That's a lot.
One might say unattainable.
Okay. What? Did he pull up our average likes?
He pulled up his YouTube channel and I just saw 7,800 subscribers. I was like,
Estimated revenue 53 cents.
what have we done?
Was like, oh no.
All right, here we go.
That's me.
Okay, so speaking of projects, there's a couple of questions surrounding the projects that you handle here on the farm at Running Springs, on the mini farm, like just in general. So a couple of them are kind of funny. A couple of them are really serious. So one question that a lot of people are curious about is like, do you take outside jobs anymore?
So, like this week, for example, I have to go back to a previous client and fix some stonework that he actually broke with his mower that I did a couple years ago.
Do you actually have to fix that?
I told him I would. I told him if he got the stone that I
He's
would
a good
fix
guy.
it. So, occasionally I have a couple clients that need me to do something just, off the cuff. But no, it's been 2 years or so
I think
I've
about 2
taken
years.
about 2 years since I've taken jobs. When we decided that at a certain point I would focus more on what Katie's doing. We had so many needs around the farm and so many projects like fencing, structures that needed to be done, that I stayed a little over a year booked out all the time. And at a certain point, we said, we're too busy to continue this. Your side of things, the horse and cattle side of things, need more attention than what they're getting. So I finished out the jobs that I had. I think at that time I was like 14 months booked out. That was into the 14 months was about 2 years ago. And since then I've done some little jobs here and there for like my OG clients. But as of right now, no. What I am doing is referring out the people that still contact me to a lot of my buddies in the business and getting them a lot of work. And so it's not like I have no contact with clients. I get them a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
But no, my sole focus now is our
Because when I
business.
met you, you had full lawn care crews, and then you were doing really large, like, what would you call it? Like commercial retaining wall jobs, like for new build houses and for.
We had a lot of commercial contracts. We were cutting grass. We had landscape crews. We had hardscape crews. We did excavation. I mean, anything from clearing land to digging ponds to.
So that's still why all the retaining walls and patios and all the things at the farm are so beautiful. Because
it kind of rolled right into what needed to be done around here. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that has just been kind of neglected. It's not the right word, but kind of set aside.
not upgraded.
Yeah. And so, I already had a lot of the equipment to roll right into what we needed to do here, like build retaining walls and fencing and barns. And
Oh yeah, we're about to fence.
we got another 5 miles of fencing.
We about
do
to
this
do some
summer.
fencing.
I know. Actually, tomorrow I'm starting on the new riding arena outside the new barn.
Awesome.
Did it make you anxious at all to step out of the commercial projects?
Not necessarily. I do miss it. I love building things and getting paid for what I built with my hands and seeing happy customers and improving their living space. I really enjoyed doing patios and outdoor kitchens and things like that that were aesthetically pleasing. A lot of the work we did was like drainage work. You can't really see that. It just makes people's lives easier, but they don't really like spending money on it. I liked the more aesthetic stuff that
Make people excited.
yeah, it looked pretty that people would get excited about getting completed. But
Yeah.
I remember when we first started dating and like when we were early, like I think like engaged maybe, and you weren't doing as many walls, you were doing more patios, and you'd have me come out to each patio to come see them. It was so cute.
yeah, it was fun.
It was cute. So with that being said, this was it might be kind of hard for you to answer, but
Definitely.
this was a really good question that someone on Facebook asked, and they said, what are you most proud of yourself? What are you most proud of me for? And what are you most proud of something that we built together?
Something blue, something. I don't know the other ones.
Okay.
Old.
Okay.
New.
So
New.
proud of with me, proud of with you, proud of with us.
Yes.
Proud of with me is I've always been about impact and positive impact in other people's lives. And I feel like the business that I built, I was able to do that. I was able to go into people, like come into their lives and help them with a need that made them happy. As far as like people that live in a subdivision wanted an outdoor patio for them to have a little more space to hang out outside, enjoy their own home more, or doing things for people that they couldn't do on their own. There was a lot of, especially like elderly women that needed some major help on their properties that I loved helping them. They were always so appreciative. I've just always been about impact. As far as you, when I met you, social media wasn't a thing, but you did have a small following, and I could see right away that people just enjoyed watching your life and how you carried yourself, how you interacted with your animals and other people. And that's obviously grown on an exponential level. And kind of the same thing, impact. How many people come up to you and say, you're such a good influence on my daughter. We watch you every day. She wants to be just like you. Or women that come up to you and say, you bring me so much joy in my life. Just, seeing your life. I think as far as us, I think that we're building something that we're just getting started. That it's kind of happened so fast. Very proud of being able to employ so many people and, just be in so many people's lives. Again, going back to impact. But I really think we're just getting started. And it's really been a whirlwind the last 10 years. It doesn't feel like 10 years. It feels like...
Technically, it's 9.5.
We're getting close to a decade. And it's really flown by, and I feel like we've been having fun the whole time. And I'm just proud of not what we built, what we're continuing to build.
Mm-hmm. That was a good way to put it. Hold on. Okay, so going off of what we're continuing to build, what's your dream project? Because, I just want to go off of like you wanted to focus so much on impact. Like even before I had my own business, like you employed friends, family, it definitely brought this like really cool environment and opportunities to people around you, which I think is amazing. And in that, like you're so talented with stonework, with any type of freaking machines, with looking at a piece of land and turning this barren piece of land into like a work of art. It's actually insane how talented he is. And so with all of that being said, if you could just pick a project that's a dream, like what would you do?
So I've really enjoyed the shop build, and obviously this podcast room is in it. I have a workshop. We have more of a workspace now that's multi-use. I look forward to someday, eventually we're going to outgrow this at some point and get to do this over. And there was some mistakes that I made with this build. And there's some things we didn't add. And someday I really want to pour my heart and soul into a multifunctional building that encompasses all the things we left out, all the things that we could have done better. And I think it would be a really fun space as we continue to grow to have different sections of that building or different sections of that facility that really hone in on the needs of our business and life going forward. Mm-hmm. I think that would be the most fun because we did a lot of things right, but we could have done a lot of things different. Yeah, including the upstairs being not 7-foot ceilings. Yeah, I mean, just little things like that, like where the podcast room is. I got this far above my head where the ceiling is. Where if we would have done 18-foot sides on or 18-foot walls instead of 16-foot walls, just little things like that we could tweak. But I think that'll be a lot of fun when that time comes. I'm down for all kinds of projects. I mean, I look at everything. But it's interesting. I would have thought that you would have said something with stone. I mean, I love doing stonework. I take every project head on. Everything's I love adult puzzles. How to see a need, fix a need. One thing that we dream about is, this is way in the future, but eventually, like you said, if we grow, we move, we build. I want a pool.
I was just about to say a pool.
I want a pool, and I want I know you've got all the goods to make it like a
real
really cool pool.
Yeah.
You heard it here first. In the future, our pool will be slick.
Like,
Are we talking about for you a pool?
yes, but I will let y'all. I'll let y'all use it.
I don't know why I was thinking about Kennedy's Pond.
I am looking forward to designing a pool.
Okay, so you joke, but like,
A little saltwater.
if / when we do move, I will be consulting someone on how to include ponds into a couple of pastures, because not every pasture needs a pond, but like if you go to Texas or whatever, like there's ponds all over the place, I feel like in pastures. And so you can do it in a more safe way than what we just naturally have here in Tennessee, like the rocks and stuff. So they'd be bougie ponds. They'd be very like cushy ones that we built specifically not to cripple my horses. But yeah, I think she will get her pond at some point. So you brought up that we've been together almost 10 years.
Yep. 9.5 to be exact.
9.5 years. We're a little over 9.5 actually.
Oh, thank you.
That's how long you've been together total?
Yeah. Did you know it's our wedding anniversary like next week?
Yeah, I actually thought about that last week.
I haven't gotten you anything. I forgot. Like so much stuff has been happening that I'm like, oh my gosh, we've been like, that's our wedding anniversary.
I don't know if I was supposed to share, but he did say he had something pretty cool planned for you.
Big. Huge.
Appreciate it, guys.
Bigger than any other anniversary present you've ever had. It's something that's going to blow you out of the water.
Yeah. He was so appreciative about the bear trip.
These earrings were the last one.
Thanks. 6 days out.
Oh, that was trash, dude. Compared to this one, trash.
So that's our 6-year wedding anniversary, which is insane.
That's crazy. Like it feels like time goes by here so much. Like so, like he was like I haven't been on a podcast in like 2 years. I was like, it feels like this has all just been one long year.
Yes,
it's
because we don't take breaks.
Maybe that's it.
Yeah, I think that's it.
It's because there's no breaks. So there's no time away.
It's like, oh, it's just Christmas again this year. You know, it's just like, here we go.
It does feel like that.
It's coming up.
And so like. We've been married 6 years almost, and then our like together 10 years is in November. We used to say some like BS date of our dating date, and now we just go off the day we met, because the day we met, it was done deal.
Pretty much seen you every day since.
You did go kiss a girl the next day after you met me, but then you came right back. Remember that?
Nope.
You don't remember going downtown the next day and kissing a girl, but you told me about it, which was odd.
I definitely did. Definitely did.
But then after that, we were together like every day, and we were dating.
Yep.
And I remember being like a month in, and I went to go get my nails done because Danny came into town to go to like our little Christmas trip, and we went to go get our nails done. And I was like, I'm gonna get my nails done like this when I marry Jonathan. And she's like, girl, you've been with this boy for like a month. So I knew
right away.
But anyway, with that being said, they want to know, how have I changed? Because you met me at 20 and now I'm 30. So isn't that crazy? How have I changed?
Boy,
not physically necessarily, because I was very hot at 20. Okay. That's
you're still hot.
Gone.
Still very hot.
Oh, thank you.
It's been fun watching you grow into and adapt into that role of, being in the public eye, having employees, having to make decisions that you never thought you would, being an animal owner of a large volume of animals and not just a few, people depend on you, animals depend on you. There's lives at stake with every decision. And you've really grown into that role over the last 10 years. So
I made a post the night before I turned 30 where I was kind of like reflecting on my 20s and just talking about like, okay, entering my 20s, here, this is the state that I was in when I entered into my 20s. So that was before I met you, because I was like 6 months into being 20 when I met you. And then like here I am at 30. And at 20, had I been kicked out of college yet when you met me?
No, you were still just a few months after I met you. You stopped going to college
Because they asked me to. And
because you didn't have a choice.
so I like was in a pretty not great spot.
Well, I remember you like trying to figure out what direction you wanted to go in. I mean, you could have worked for your dad. I remember the exact moment in time when you came to me and said, I think I want to give this social media thing a shot. And at that point, it was more like hunting industry focused. But I remember the exact point in time that you came to me and said that. And I also remember the exact moment in time when you came to me and said, I want to do more lifestyle stuff with social media.
That would have been more like 2022.
Yeah. 4 or 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
That both. I just remember.
Maybe 2021.
I remember everything about it. And it was very defining moments in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Jonathan's the OG of OGs.
Well, that's the thing. So when he met me, I had like 4,000 followers on Instagram, which I think is like
Small fry.
I think that's for a regular for a person who isn't trying to make social media a part of their life. I feel like 4,000 followers is like a good little chunk.
It is. A
Yeah,
lot.
for sure.
That's what I have.
And it was purely off of like horse show people.
Yeah,
that
you've been doing some Vine videos and things like that.
I was Vine famous
Big
for a
Vine girl.
minute.
Mm.
I had like 20,000 on there, just from singing. And so I didn't know at that point that you could even like make money on social media. That wasn't a plan. Like,
I don't think back then you really could. It was just like
It was
right
brand new.
right on the cusp of like influencers.
I'm sure
or
YouTubers were.
people getting brand deals. It was like at the tipping point of social media being like the death of billboards and magazines, and now that's how everybody advertises.
Well, I would say it happened. Like I met you in November. My like picture that blew up in April. And then I didn't make a dime until September. So I was almost a year into meeting you when, stuff started happening. So you were here pre-social media.
Yep, I was.
You weren't just looking for a sugar mama or nothing.
No, I got one.
They want to know if you can, you always ask him to name the horses, but can you name his tools?
He has more tools than I have animals, I promise
That
you.
would be cool to get a small assortment, like a bucket
Okay, I can
of
name
different
some
things.
of his equipment.
Next podcast, I'm just gonna start.
Yeah, I've
Name
seen that trend. That'd be cool.
What is this?
I
if
know
I can
he
answer those
he
names.
has 2 excavators. I know he has 2 skid steers. I know he has a John Deere tractor. I know they're all of his like skid steers and his mini skids and all that good stuff. Or no, your mini skid isn't it Vermeer?
It's a Vermeer. Yeah, I'm shocked that you knew that.
But see that
Other stuff is Caterpillar.
Yep.
Maybe that could be. a
Hey,
nickname.
that in itself is pretty good.
And then truck wise, I think we've got
Bunch of white Fords.
a bunch of white Fords, a bunch of 7.3s.
I would equate this to somewhat knowing that it's a horse. You'd be like, he's got an excavator. Well, Katie, she's got.
Okay,
got a
so I know
That's a
I know.
horse.
So the one,
This would be like, well,
Lot
what's
of
the
white
what's
Fords
the
and red
model
horses.
name? Like, what's the model name?
the excavator that he just got is the biggest mini X.
No.
It's the smallest regular X.
No.
Sounds like we need to do this.
$231,
No. 323.
$323. I'm just dyslexic.
Now, see, this is naming the horses.
Yeah,
exactly.
What do you mean? It's from 2 years ago. You watched it happen.
Yeah, I guess I should.
I'm not worried about it.
What like? I guess I
can't
should
name
go
all the
look out there more.
We have a dump truck named Dumplin.
Dumplin'?
You can pick the
I love
10.
that.
Dumplin.
You can pick whatever 10 things you think she can't name, and you can pick 10 things that you think he can't name,
Speaking
be
of,
fun.
and you can compete.
Speaking of, one of the things people want me to do
Mm-hmm.
is start a timer and see how many horses you can name in a minute.
All right, let's go.
Okay, what we need to establish some prizes, I think, for like
Okay.
if you can name 10,
Like
if you hit
what?
20, if you hit,
It's a bigger stuff.
No, let's just try it.
I think.
I don't think I can even get half of them, but we can try it.
I mean, honestly, in a minute, which is 60 seconds, I think there's like around 40 horses at this point.
Mini
That'd
horses
be
too,
hard.
or just big horses?
I would allow minis.
Yeah, you have to throw in the
Okay.
minis. for
I would
me.
allow minis. So let's just actually go ahead and get a
let's hit
little
it.
little timer up on here.
Okay.
I'm gonna
Got about 15 seconds of
Hold on.
rattling off,
Insane.
and then I'm gonna be like,
Oh, I thought that was word for word.
okay.
You've got the timer?
Are we okay? So should we do it where? I guess I can't really make it to where it's like, see if y'all can do more because you're gonna hear him name and then it's
Yeah,
gonna
I think
skew
just
it.
him, yeah.
"Yep, let's do
It's
it."
just got to be him. Okay, 3, 2, 1, go.
Bo, Beyonce, Ginger, Erlene, Waylon, Denver, Maggie, Trudy, Regina, Karen, Glenn. I knew I'd blank on a bunch of them.
I'm so impressed though.
I see. I can envision several others. Oh my goodness.
You're good.
Red horse.
Calm down.
I can't.
Stay calm.
I can't remember.
He's already
the
beat
new
us.
paint horses. Oh my goodness.
Oh, I know one.
I know so many more.
Do you?
Yeah, being put on the spot. I was really confident that I'd get a lot more.
Well,
than
you
I'm
could have
getting now.
probably done some more. We're almost there. You have 5 seconds. Throw one more in there.
That's bad.
All right.
Would I get 9?
No, you got 12.
I think.
I can name a lot more than that.
That is a thing, though. We used to play a game where it's like name 10 magazines in 30 seconds or 10 cereals. Everybody knows 10 cereals. Everybody knows 10 colors until you're timed for 30 seconds, and then it's freaking hard.
You
Man,
say like
I-
the 3 you know and can't remember anything else.
I didn't even say Annie or Gracie.
No.
Sophie.
Charlotte,
Yeah, I mean that
Melody, Kimberly,
Molly.
Maggie.
the two
Daphne,
the two
Wally.
like taller black ones.
Wheezy,
Yeah,
Indy.
Indy was the one I was stuck
Yeah.
on.
Woody,
Trudy. Was already said.
See, there were so many. and I
Opal.
just
Opal.
blanked.
After a
Kennedy.
while, you'll be able to just pull
Yeah, I
out
didn't
one.
even say
Happy.
Kennedy.
Happy.
Wow,
Happy, Buttercup,
easy ones.
Blondie, Ariel,
Blondie and Ariel were. I was trying to think. I got stuck trying to. think.
Monica.
I was trying to think of Indy and Gracie, and that's what held me up.
Well, I think you did better than I thought.
I really had more than 12 in me.
Okay.
I was thinking maybe
So
25.
this year we had 7 foals. Can you name them?
No,
Just no. No, not even trying.
I honestly can't really. If
You
I-
were there for every single birth.
I know.
This
But
year
you-
was action packed.
But to be fair,
It was.
they're not named at the birth.
Yeah,
So it doesn't
Am
really-
I the
that's
only
my
one
issue.
who might have a hot take of like, I feel like maybe I was more attached to a certain round of foals than the others? Like,
I agree with
What's your
that.
foals? What's your full round?
like, and maybe it's like more like the season, the foaling season. Like, I don't feel like necessarily this was probably like it was a great foaling season, but like it wasn't my favorite. And like maybe my favorite foals, not my most. I don't remember a lot of them.
Who were
know?
your
My
favorites?
my favorite
I
was
think maybe
foaling
the second
season
one.
2.
I think the second
Yeah.
one was the most.
So 2024. So that'd be when Molly, Wally,
Molly.
Daphne,
Yeah, that's
Fred, Howie.
I think
and I think you'll notice when all the jokes I make were like Fred earlier in the thing. Like those are the names that I still.
I think like
of.
after that, it started just becoming something that was like getting used to.
Also, I will say, with the addition of Elena on the team, y'all don't really go out in the pasture just to take pictures anymore.
Yeah,
I did
not as
notice
much.
that.
So we're not knowing the names and
We can change that.
I think
Yeah.
the one that sticks out
Change
in my
that.
mind is Penelope, because that was the first one that me and you did by ourselves with no outside help.
Mm-hmm.
And Trudy did it standing up.
Yeah.
And that was just so stressful because it was the first one ever we had done, just us two.
Yeah. I remember because we were like, oh crap, she's going to have her freaking baby. And this was like, we had just met. Like, this was fresh into us
yeah.
meeting. And so we went to Walgreens at like 11 o'clock at night to go get enemas because I didn't have any enemas.
Yep.
Yeah, just freaking raw dogging it. So we talked a little bit about the public eye and, talking about how I've adapted. But how how have you felt during this whole thing? Because I mean, pretty quickly into us being together, I was having followers. I was having people watch, for new posts and including our relationship in it in times. And we were hunting and we were going to all these, trade shows. And I don't know, like, I feel like we didn't have that much of we weren't like watched until the last few years. But I mean, I don't know. How do you feel about that?
I mean, I can remember it being an adjustment right away. I never really cared about like the floods of DMs from guys shooting their shot or anything. When you first kind of got more attention and people would come up to you, I didn't really know what to think at the time. I'm obviously very used to it now, especially the last couple of years. It's kind of gone nuclear. But I haven't changed myself. You haven't changed yourself. We've always been a team, always trusted each other. It hasn't really affected me. I've obviously worried about your safety to an extent, being in the public eye, but for the most part, I haven't really given it a thought about, that it's changed much in our lives. We get people, I run people off from the farm that, are rude and pull in or trying to be creepy or whatever. And I go run them off pretty regularly.
One thing that I think that has kept, I don't know, it kind of out of our relationship to an extent is we're not like yes, it is lifestyle because it's about my lifestyle as a horse breeder and as like a equestrian and as like a farm caretaker and whatnot. But like we're not blasting our relationship on socials. Yeah. So like people can speculate about whatever they want, but I'm not like, if we get in a fight or whatever, neither one of us is going on there being like, I'm so pissed about this and
a lot of couples, are kind of in the public eye together and it's more you than me. But a lot of people or a lot of couples, air all their stuff out for views.
Right.
And, we keep kind of that part of our lives separate. So it's not, everybody doesn't know everything, even though they might think they do.
Speaking of that, one of the questions was, what do you find most annoying about Katie?
Then what's your favorite thing about Katie?
No, that wasn't actually on there.
We'll follow it with that.
Annoying?
Mm-hmm. Is
What
it
a
my
trap
chronic
question.
lateness?
I would say that is, I've learned how to combat that. If we have to be somewhere at 8 o'clock, I tell her we have to be there at 7:15, and typically a 45-minute buffer is pretty good. I mean, I've adapted in ways that
improvise.
I
adapt, overcome.
I hate being late. I'm very punctual on not being late. I like to be early, and I married somebody who is always late, and I just had to work around that.
I don't try to be late.
It's just your concept of time.
It's just who you are.
I don't try. Like I really like I will think that I have plenty of time, and it just because it's been long enough. I want to see how many horses y'all can rattle off. But first off, I want to know, because I didn't give y'all the answers, who thinks that they can name the 2026 foals?
It's certainly been long enough for me to have completely forgot everything.
That's what
you
I'm
just
saying.
said.
You've forgotten now.
Yeah. I cannot name the 2026 foals. I can name.
Oh my gosh, no.
Max maybe 3. I can definitely do 2.
We literally went over their names today for a video.
But I was focused on the other aspects of everything.
I really don't think I could.
I'm gonna start.
Just give me one.
No.
Yeah.
Like just of 2026.
Well,
I can
got
give you
one.
one.
Moose.
Moose was this year?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a big one. I feel like there's always a moose every year.
Technically.
There's always a bigger boy. Maybe it was Wally one
Yeah,
year.
it was Wally one year.
When was Moose born?
January 31st.
2026.
Hey, so big.
Yeah, and also he looks like a horse already, so.
I'm gonna time you.
30 seconds.
Nope, we're giving you a minute.
Okay.
Us collectively?
Collectively.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, we
Collectively.
can do this.
All right, 3, 2, 1, go.
Sophie.
Moose. Wait, just the foals?
Oh my gosh! Stop.
We'll
Restart.
alternate, and if one's struggling, tap in.
Yeah.
One,
Alternate.
one,
Okay.
one.
But is this
Alternate.
just the foals or just everybody?
All
Okay,
horses.
okay.
All horses.
All right.
yeah.
Okay.
All right.
3, 2, 1, go.
Sophie,
Charlotte,
Trudy,
Gracie,
Happy, Raven,
Indy, Gunner,
Melody.
Denver, Waylon, Happy. You said
No,
Happy.
you already said
I
Happy.
said Happy. Give me a girl. Wally,
Give me a girl.
Benedict, Molly,
Opal. We already said Charlotte, right?
Yes.
Okay. What's the other black one? Not Raven.
You already said Indy.
Phoebe,
Yeah. Okay. Phoebe. Ethel.
Annie.
Kennedy. We already said Kennedy.
No.
Oh, Foals.
I'm not thinking of old ones we don't have
I know.
anymore.
Time.
Foals. Okay, that was nice. That was good.
That was okay.
19.
I'm okay with
That's
that.
okay.
Yeah.
So collectively, you both got
on
less
my
than
own,
him.
I was gonna say they got 7 more than me together.
Yeah.
on my own would have.
I think I could have done that.
The
on
time
mine.
would have crushed me more than anything. I would like the pressure of the time. I wouldn't have been able to name one. I don't think. Having him at my side, I felt a lot more.
Yeah, I think we did better. But I
You can
think
do anything together.
I was confident. I think you could
Having
have done
him
it
by
on your
my
own, though.
side just really gave me the confidence.
That's all right.
That's teamwork.
I can't believe that I couldn't think of Gracie, Annie, Ethel, and Kennedy at least.
Yeah.
I just blanked.
Flubbed. All right. Well, I hope y'all enjoyed this episode. Maybe we'll come on more. I don't know.
I would love to. Let's
This was
make
a
it
good
not 2 years again.
Yeah.
This was a good one.
Yeah. Maybe a year. I don't know. We'll see.
Maybe every other week.
Good God, that's a lot.
Weekly. He hosts them.
Okay. Well, thank you for coming on, baby, because this was very last minute and he's very tired. But I hope y'all enjoyed. If you have questions or topics that you would like for us to talk about, put them in the comments and we'll see you in the next one. Also, Jonathan, before we go, did you know that your daughter was here the whole time?
No, and Kimmy's been under there the whole time.
Please. She's just
Oh my goodness.
big stretch. She was just
Dead
here
hair.
hanging out the
Wow.
whole time. She's so warm. She's so snuggly.
She didn't move a muscle.
Her eye, is your eye shut? Her eye was like stuck shut. Mwah. Okay, now we can go.